The coffee in my hand had gone cold 20 minutes ago, but I kept holding the mug anyway. Across the dining table, my brother Marcus spread out glossy brochures showing luxury resorts in the Maldives. His fiancée Jessica leaned over his shoulder, pointing at infinity pools and overwater bungalows. "This one's 12,000 a night," she said, her voice breathy with excitement. "Can you imagine?" Marcus grinned. "We'll be able to afford it now. The buyers are offering 750,000, cash deal, closing in 2 weeks." I took a sip of the cold coffee. It tasted bitter. "That's nice," I said quietly. My mother sat at the head of the table, nodding with approval. She'd always favored Marcus. He was the successful one, the one with the finance degree, the corporate job, the beautiful fiancée. I was just there, the daughter who dropped out of college to take care of dad during his final years, the one who never quite got her life together afterward. "You should be happy for your brother," Mom said, looking at me with that familiar disappointment in her eyes. "He's finally doing something productive with that property. It's been sitting there for 3 years, completely wasted." "I visit sometimes," I said. Marcus laughed. "Twice a year doesn't count as using it. That house should be generating value, not collecting dust. You don't deserve beachfront property if you're not going to do anything with it." The words stung, but I didn't react. I'd learned a long time ago that arguing with Marcus only made things worse. He had Mom's support, he had the family's respect, and he had the absolute conviction that he was right about everything. "The realtor said it could sell even higher," Jessica added, scrolling through her phone. "But we wanted to close quickly. The wedding's in 4 months, and we need to finalize the honeymoon booking." "Smart thinking," Mom said. "Strike while the market's hot." I stood up and carried my mug to the sink. Through the window, I could see the neighborhood where I'd grown up. Nothing much had changed. The same trees, the same houses, the same feeling of being stuck in place while everyone else moved forward. "When's the closing?" I asked, keeping my voice neutral. "October 15th, Marcus said. "The buyers are a retired couple from Boston. They're paying cash, so no financing contingencies," the escrow officer said. "It's the smoothest transaction she's seen in months." "That's good. You could show a little more enthusiasm," Mom said sharply. "Your brother is about to start a new chapter in his life. The least you could do is be supportive." I turned around and smiled. "I'm very happy for you both. I hope the wedding is everything you want it to be." Jessica beamed. "Thank you. You're still coming, right?" "I know we had that little disagreement about the bridesmaid dresses, but I'll be there," I said. The little disagreement had been Jessica insisting I pay $600 for a dress I'd wear once, then getting offended when I asked if there were less expensive options, but that was typical. In this family, my financial struggles were seen as personal failures, not circumstances worth considering. Marcus's phone buzzed. He glanced at it and grinned. "The buyers just confirmed their wire transfer is ready." "This is really happening. I should go," I said. "I have some errands to run." "Before you leave," Mom said, standing up, "I want you to know that I think this is the best decision. That beach house has been a burden on this family. Your father never should have." She stopped herself, but we all knew what she meant. Dad never should have left it the way he did. I grabbed my jacket from the back of the chair. "I'll see you all later." Outside, I sat in my car for 5 minutes before starting the engine. My hands were shaking, but not from anger, from something else, something that felt like standing on the edge of a cliff, waiting. I pulled out my phone and opened my email. The message from 3 days ago was still there, marked urgent. The subject line read "Trust Beneficiary Notification. Action Required." I'd read it a dozen times. Each time the words were the same. The law office of Patterson and Associates had been trying to reach me for 2 weeks. There were documents that needed my signature, papers that concerned the property at 847 Ocean View Drive, the beach house my father had purchased 23 years ago, when I was 5 years old, the beach house Marcus was selling. I started the car and drove to the address listed in the email. The law office was in a modest building downtown, sandwiched between a dry cleaner and a tax preparation service. Inside, the receptionist greeted me with professional warmth. "I have an appointment with Mr. Patterson," I said, "about the trust documents." "Of course. He's expecting you." Second door on the left. Thomas Patterson was in his 60s, with silver hair and reading glasses perched on his nose. His office smelled like old books and coffee. He stood when I entered, extending his hand. "Thank you for coming in," he said. I know this must be confusing. Please sit down. I took the chair across from his desk. I don't understand what's happening. My brother is selling the beach house. He said it's part of the estate, that Mom has the authority to. She doesn't, Patterson said gently. And that's why we needed to speak with you urgently. Your father established an irrevocable trust in 2012, 13 years ago. The property at Ocean View Drive is held in that trust, with you as the sole beneficiary. The room felt too warm suddenly, but Marcus said, your brother doesn't have the legal authority to sell the property, neither does your mother. The trust was very specifically structured. Your father appointed me as the trustee, with instructions that the property would be managed for your benefit until you turned 30. You turned 30 last month. I nodded slowly. Dad had died 3 years ago, and in the chaos of grief and funeral arrangements, I'd never thought to question the family's narrative about his assets. Mom had handled everything. Marcus had helped with the paperwork. I'd just signed where they told me to sign. Why didn't anyone tell me about this? I asked. Patterson's expression grew troubled. The trust documents were sent to your mother's address, as that was listed as your residence at the time. I assumed you'd been informed. When I reached out recently, because we needed your signature for some standard administrative updates, I discovered that you weren't aware of the trust's existence. He slid a folder across the desk. These are the complete trust documents. Your father was very clear in his intentions. He wanted you to have security, a place that would always be yours. He knew, Patterson hesitated. He knew family dynamics could be complicated. I opened the folder. The legal language was dense, but certain phrases jumped out. Sole beneficiary, irrevocable trust, no authority to sell, transfer or encumber without beneficiary consent. What happens now? I asked. That depends on you. If you want to sell the property, that's your decision, but it must be your decision, with you as the seller of record. Any sale currently in progress without your authorization is void. There are buyers. They're wiring money. The closing is in 2 weeks. Patterson's jaw tightened. Then we need to contact the escrow company immediately. Do you know which firm is handling the transaction? I pulled out my phone and found the text message Marcus had sent to the family group chat 3 weeks ago, celebrating the accepted offer. Coastal Escrow Services. The escrow officer is named Amanda Chen. Patterson picked up his office phone. I know Amanda. She's thorough. She'll want to see these documents immediately. He dialed, put the call on speaker. A professional voice answered after 2 rings. Coastal Escrow Services. Amanda Chen speaking. Amanda, this is Tom Patterson. I'm calling about the property at 847 Ocean View Drive. I represent the actual owner, and we have a significant issue with the pending sale. There was a pause. Tom, I thought this was a straightforward estate sale. The seller's attorney provided documentation showing the seller doesn't have authority to sell. The property is held in an irrevocable trust, and the beneficiary was never informed of the transaction, let alone gave consent. I could hear Amanda typing in the background. Can you send me the trust documents? I need to verify this immediately. We're scheduled to close next week. Sending them now, Patterson said, nodding to me. I forwarded the PDF files I'd received to his email, and he relayed them to Amanda. The silence on the other end stretched for nearly 2 minutes. Then Amanda spoke, her voice careful and professional. Mr. Patterson, these documents appear legitimate. The trust clearly names someone other than the current seller as the beneficiary and owner. I'm going to need to halt the closing process until we can verify chain of title. Understood. My client is here with me now. She's available to meet with you to confirm her identity and intentions. Can you both come to my office this afternoon? Say, 3 o'clock? I need to contact all parties involved and inform them of this development. I checked my watch. It was 11:30. I can be there, I said. 3 o'clock then, Amanda confirmed. And Tom, this is going to get complicated. The buyers have already wired their earnest money, and the seller has made representations about clear title. I understand. See you at 3. Patterson hung up and looked at me seriously. Your family is going to be very upset. Are you prepared for that? I thought about all the years of being overlooked, dismissed, treated as the lesser sibling. All the times my struggles had been framed as personal failures, while Marcus's successes had been celebrated as inevitable. Yes, I said, I'm prepared. The next 4 hours passed in a blur. Patterson explained the full scope of the trust, the beach house was just one asset. There was also an investment portfolio that had grown substantially over the past 13 years, and a modest but steady income stream from rental properties Dad had owned in other states, everything managed quietly by Patterson's firm. Everything meant for me. Your father was a careful planner, Patterson said. He wanted to make sure you'd be taken care of, regardless of what happened with the rest of the family. At 2:45, we arrived at Coastal Escrow Service. The office was modern and efficient, with glass walls and sleek furniture. Amanda Chen met us in the lobby, a woman in her 40s with sharp eyes and an air of competence. Thank you for coming on short notice, she said, shaking our hands. This is quite an unusual situation. I've been in escrow for 18 years, and I've never had a case quite like this. She led us to a conference room, where documents were spread across the table. Purchase agreements, title reports, escrow instructions, wire transfer confirmations. I've reviewed the trust documents thoroughly, Amanda said. There's no question about their validity. The property is held in an irrevocable trust with you as the sole beneficiary. Your brother had no legal authority to enter into a purchase agreement. What happens to the buyers? I asked. Their earnest money will be returned in full. They're not happy, obviously, but they have no legal claim. The seller misrepresented his authority, which makes the contract void ab initio, void from the beginning. Amanda pulled out another document. This is where it gets more serious. Your brother signed disclosures stating he had full authority to sell. He represented himself as the owner. That's potentially fraudulent misrepresentation. Patterson leaned forward. Has he been informed yet? I called him an hour ago. He insisted there must be a mistake, that his mother has power of attorney over all estate assets. I told him we needed to meet today with all parties present to resolve this. He should be here any minute. As if on cue, the lobby door opened. I could see Marcus through the glass wall, his face red, his movements aggressive. Mom was with him, looking imperious and angry. Jessica trailed behind, checking her phone. Amanda stood. Let me bring them in. This needs to be handled professionally. She opened the conference room door and gestured to my family. Marcus stormed in first. What the hell is going on? He demanded. Then he saw me sitting at the table with Patterson, and his expression shifted from anger to confusion to something darker. What are you doing here? I'm the property owner, I said calmly. The actual property owner. Mom's eyes widened. That's ridiculous. The beach house is part of your father's estate. I'm the executor. I have every right to. The beach house was never part of the probate estate. Patterson interrupted smoothly. It's held in an irrevocable trust established in 2012. Your daughter is the sole beneficiary. You have no authority over this asset. He slid the trust documents across the table. Mom grabbed them, her hands shaking as she read. Marcus looked over her shoulder, his face going pale. This can't be right, Marcus said. Dad would have told us. He told me, I said quietly. When I was taking care of him, during those last months, he explained everything. I just didn't understand how important it was until now. That was partially true. Dad had talked about making sure I'd be okay about provisions he'd made. In my grief and exhaustion, I hadn't pressed for details. I'd trusted that the family would handle things fairly. You knew about this. Mom's voice was shrill. You knew and you let us go through with the sale. You let us make plans, spend money. I didn't know the specifics until 3 days ago, I said. But even if I had, you never asked my permission. You just assumed you had the right to sell my property. Jessica spoke up for the first time, her voice tight. We've already booked the resort. The deposit was $15,000, non-refundable. That's not my problem, I said, and the words felt powerful, liberating. Amanda cleared her throat. Let's focus on the immediate issue. Mr. Marcus, you entered into a contract to sell property you don't own. You signed legal documents representing yourself as the seller with full authority. The buyers are threatening legal action for their expenses and lost opportunity. Marcus turned on me. You're going to let this happen. You're going to destroy my wedding, my life, over some technicality. It's not a technicality. It's my inheritance. The one thing Dad left specifically for me. You don't deserve it, Marcus shouted. You've done nothing with your life. You dropped out of school. You work a dead-end job. You live in that garbage apartment. While I took care of Dad, I said, my voice steady. While you were too busy building your career to visit him in hospice, While Mom was too angry at him for getting sick to sit by his bed, I was there, every single day. The room went silent. Patterson spoke gently. The legal reality is clear. The sale cannot proceed. The trust assets belong to her, managed for her benefit. Any attempt to sell or transfer them without her written consent is void. Mom's face had gone white. How much? How much is in this trust? Patterson glanced at me. I nodded. The beach house is currently valued at approximately $750,000. The investment portfolio is worth $1.2 million. The rental properties generate about $45,000 annually in net income. All told, the trust assets are worth approximately $2.3 million. Jessica gasped. Marcus looked like he might be sick. $2 million, Mom whispered. He left you $2 million and left us nothing. He left you the house you're living in, mortgage-free, I said. He left you his life insurance. He left Marcus the car collection. He left me the assets that required long-term management, because he knew I'd need them more. Amanda was making notes. I need to inform the buyers officially that the sale is void. I also need to return all documents and deposits. Mr. Marcus, you should be aware that they may pursue legal action against you for misrepresentation. Legal action? Jessica's voice cracked. We can't afford lawyers. We spent everything on the wedding planning. Marcus slumped in his chair. This is insane. Dad wouldn't have done this. He wouldn't have cut us out. He didn't cut you out. He just made sure I had security, something you never thought I needed or deserved. Mom stood abruptly. This is your fault. You've always been manipulative, always playing the victim. Mrs. Anderson, Patterson said firmly. I'd advise you to stop speaking. Anything you say now could be used in potential legal proceedings. That shut her up. Amanda organized the documents into neat piles. I'll draft a formal notification for all parties. The escrow is canceled. The earnest money will be returned to the buyers. As for the fraud allegations, I want to be clear, I said, looking directly at Marcus. I'm not interested in punishing you. I just want what's mine. If you and the buyers can work out your issues privately, I won't interfere. But the property isn't for sale. Marcus's jaw clenched. So that's it. You get everything and we get nothing. You got to be the golden child for 30 years. I think it evens out. Jessica started crying. Mom grabbed her purse. Marcus just sat there, staring at the trust documents like they might change if he looked long enough. Amanda stood. I think we're done here. I'll have the final cancellation documents ready by tomorrow. Tom, your client will need to sign some releases. We'll handle it, Patterson said. My family left without another word. Through the glass wall I watched them argue in the parking lot. Jessica was sobbing. Mom was gesturing angrily. Marcus just looked defeated. I felt a pang of something, not quite guilt, but not quite triumph either. Are you okay? Patterson asked. I think so. Is it always this hard? Family and money, always. He gathered his papers. For what it's worth, your father would be proud of how you handled this. He knew you were stronger than they gave you credit for. We left the escrow office as the sun was setting. My phone buzzed constantly. Texts from Marcus, from Mom, from Jessica. I didn't read them. Instead, I drove to the beach house. It was exactly as I remembered. Weathered blue siding, a wide deck overlooking the ocean, windows that caught the last rays of sunlight. I unlocked the door with the key I'd kept on my chain for 3 years, never quite knowing why I couldn't throw it away. Inside, everything was frozen in time. Dad's reading chair by the window, the kitchen where we'd made pancakes on Sunday mornings, the bedroom where I'd slept during those final months, listening to the ocean and his labored breathing through the baby monitor. I walked out onto the deck and watched the waves roll in. My phone buzzed again. This time I looked. It was a text from Marcus. You've destroyed everything. I hope you're happy. I deleted it and opened my email instead. There was a message from Patterson, sent an hour ago. Spoke with Amanda. The buyers are upset but understand the situation. They're not pursuing legal action against you. However, they are demanding Marcus refund their inspection costs and lost opportunity expenses, about $8,000 total. He's trying to claim he didn't know about the trust, but his attorney told him that ignorance isn't a defense when he signed documents claiming ownership authority. Another email, this one from a property management company. Per Mr. Patterson's instructions, we've prepared an analysis of rental income potential for 847 Ocean View Drive. Estimated weekly rental income, $3,500. $4,200 depending on season. Annual gross income, $165,000. $195,000. Please contact us to discuss management services. I sat down on the deck stairs and let it all sink in. The property that Marcus thought was wasted, that Mom thought was a burden, that the whole family dismissed as something I didn't deserve. It was mine, truly mine, and it was worth more than any of them had imagined. Not just in money though that mattered, in possibility, in freedom, in the security Dad had wanted me to have. My phone rang. I didn't recognize the number, but I answered anyway. Hello? Hi, this is Amanda Chen from Coastal Escrow. I have one more thing to tell you. When I informed the buyers that the sale was canceled, they asked if the property might become available in the future. They're willing to wait, and they offered $800,000 if you decide to sell within the next 6 months. $800,000. Beachfront property is hot right now, and they really loved the house, but there's no pressure. Tom told me you're not interested in selling, and I made that clear to them. Thank you, Amanda. I appreciate you handling this so professionally. Of course, and if you do decide to sell someday, or if you need any real estate advice, feel free to call me directly. What your family tried to do, it wasn't right. I'm glad we caught it in time. After she hung up, I sat watching the ocean until the stars came out. Tomorrow I'd have to deal with the fallout. The angry family members, the canceled wedding plans, the resentment that would probably last years. But tonight I just sat in the home my father had built for me, listening to the waves, feeling grateful. The escrow officer had discovered the trust documents, and everything had changed.